Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal Tuesday, or if you guys are listening somewhere else, it's possibly Wednesday. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your guys' Wednesday. All right, so today's not going to feature any guests. We're just going to get right into today with some boxing news to break down what's going on in the boxing world today. So let's just get right to it. But before I do go any further, if you guys have any comments, questions, topics for me to address, pop up into the comment section, the chat, and let's get active today, and I'll make sure to answer any of those questions, and we can have a discussion there as well. So let's head right into it, though. In terms of some boxing news, I want to start off with this one. Devin Haney wants a rematch with Ryan Garcia after he faces Brian Norman Jr. in November. All right, I like where he's thinking. All right, so for Devin Haney, we do have to give respect to this man. I've been very clear on this. This man will fight the best of the best. He's not out here ducking. You might not like the way he fights. You might not like his style, the way he carries himself, or what he does outside of the ring. But I always have had great respect for the way that Devin Haney moves. He wants to fight the best of the best. And he's got quite the challenge upcoming against Brian Norman Jr., which he's hopes to become a world champion at 147. And yet he's already got in the back of his mind the idea of possibly going out there and facing none other than Ryan Garcia in that rematch. And I applaud him for that, because that is a fight that I feel like we all still want to see. Obviously, it was supposed to happen in November if Ryan Garcia took care of business in the ring against Rolly Romero and that ridiculous showing he had there. But getting that rematch should happen hopefully sometime in 2026. And I applaud Devin Haney for wanting that, because we do need that rematch. Whether it is a win or lose for Devin Haney against Brian Norman Jr., I do feel like the Ryan Garcia fight's there. If he wins, he's a world champion. He obviously would, in a sense, be a great opportunity for Ryan Garcia to get his get back against. And if he loses, once again, it's still a big fight, money-making fight right there for both he and Ryan Garcia. You could have a great fight right there get lined up. So I feel like whether he wins or loses on November 22nd against Brian Norman Jr., the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia rematch should occur in 2026 next. So that's my personal thoughts. Props to Devin Haney for still wanting that fight. Going back to what happened in the Canelo Bud Crawford fight, there was an interesting face-off. Now, it wasn't in the ring, thank goodness, but it did happen somewhere within the stadium, and that was Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz facing off. I was intrigued by this, and I never really thought of these two guys possibly facing each other. You know, when we look at Deontay Wilder, how is he going to come back and hopefully, or at least in his opinion, try to reassert himself? You know, the question always was, where does Deontay Wilder go? His name and his legacy and all that's big enough where he could hypothetically go force himself into fighting a guy like Anthony Joshua. But the Andy Ruiz one's interesting. I didn't see it coming, but then Andy Ruiz posted on Instagram and said, coming soon to a ring near you. And I was intrigued by it, because Deontay Wilder is coming off of a solid-ish performance against the trash can and Tyrell Herndon. But besides that, you know, I don't think Deontay Wilder is ready to go fight any of the top guys yet. And that's not to take anything away from him. I just feel like he's not all there yet. I like the way he performed. He looked better in that fight, but it was against somebody that was not even a top 50, 75 type heavyweight. Andy Ruiz makes more sense. And obviously, I don't know what would happen in the ring. Andy Ruiz fought Jarrell Miller on August 3rd of last year, and he broke his hand, and it was a fine fight, it was a draw, whatever happened. But Andy Ruiz is still a fine-ish boxer. There's a difference, I should say, between him and obviously jumping all the way up to the top guys. He's better than Tyrell Herndon, not anywhere near those top guys. So if Deontay Wilder were to go out there and put a beating on Andy Ruiz, get the knockout, you know, that would then set him up to possibly hopefully have the confidence and allow himself to push himself a little bit to maybe make that next jump for Wilder. And if Wilder lost to Andy Ruiz, that'd have to be the end of his career. But I'm intrigued by this. You know, both guys are American. You could sell it pretty well with both names. Obviously, both guys are very recognizable. Headline the event somewhere in America on some type of card. And I think it would be a solid opportunity for them. So not necessarily a fight that I'd say I ever saw coming, but it is a fight that I'm intrigued by. Now that it's rumored of, now that they seem to possibly even be discussing it, I'd be all for Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz having a heavyweight showdown in America. I think it makes a lot of sense for Deontay Wilder, and so we'll see what happens from there. I want to go back into what we've been discussing. I think most of the show this week will feature different portions and discussions still about Canelo Bud Crawford, just because of the magnitude of it. And so I want to go into this because I don't feel like it's giving enough appreciation right now. And what I just want to say is this. What Canelo Crawford did for the sport of boxing was huge. We can look at the numbers. Sure, let's read the stats. They delivered a record-breaking attendance of 70,482 to Allegiant Stadium. The gate for this fight was the third highest in boxing history at $47,231 and $231,887,000. The Netflix announced that they had over 41 million people viewing the fight, with the fight peaking at 24 million live concurrent viewers, placing it third. Now, hypothetically, you could place it two because Katie Taylor Serrano obviously piggybacked off of the massive audience that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul had, but still, those are the numbers that this fight did. But let's just be honest right now. What Canelo versus Bud Crawford did for the sport of boxing, and even more particularly in the United States of America, is huge. I said this on Friday's show. Canelo did not ever have to take this fight against Terence Bud Crawford. He didn't. He knew that had he lost, as he just did, it wasn't going to necessarily look the best. For Bud Crawford, he had nothing really to lose except for possibly getting hurt in the fight. Both of these guys gave us what boxing is meant to be. The best of the best fighting each other. And we saw something spectacular happen in that ring. We saw a situation where Bud Crawford went in there and pulled off the upset. And upsets can always happen in boxing, but what we witnessed on Saturday night was Bud Crawford proving that, listen, when the best fight each other, anything can happen. It doesn't have to be realistic always. It doesn't have to be this big old business scheme. Yes, there's a lot of money involved in this fight, but it does not have to be this massive business scheme going on behind the scenes. If you are the best, you should believe that you are the best and go fight the best, regardless of what the weight class is, if it's somewhat realistic. And Bud Crawford proved that. We don't see a lot of these type of things happening in boxing anymore. You go back 20, 30 years ago, yes, these type of things were happening quite often. The best were not just something that happened, it was expected and then did happen. But in today's era, for one reason or another, so many guys are not fighting the best. And it is a serious problem. But what these two men did is they went into the ring, pushed aside all the politics, pushed aside all the different things that could happen, and said, let's go put two of the best fighters in all the world in the ring at the same time, and let's see what happens. And we got to witness one of the greatest wins in the history of boxing coming on in by way of what Terence Bud Crawford did. And they gave us the most watched world championship fight of this century in boxing. That is what we needed. So I want to give a hats off and a massive salute to Turkey Al-Sheikh, Canelo, and Bud Crawford, because they gave us something that boxing has been lacking. And this was necessary. This was massive for the state of America, for the country of America as well, because boxing has been slacking drastically in America. And I will always credit to three different things. First of all, you don't have the big superstar talents. At the end of the day, you just don't have the big superstar talents. That is what it is. Bud Crawford became a superstar once again. Secondly, the overall just concept of American boxing right now is these guys that don't want to fight each other. I just talked about this. We don't have the best fighting. We have we have Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. Two great fighters. They won't fight each other. We have all the different situations in America where these guys won't fight each other. And that's not appealing to a lot of people. Third, that we don't have the best promotion overall. And I want to emphasize this right now, because what we witnessed on Saturday, by having in 41 million people viewing Canelo versus Bud Crawford, peaking at 24 million live viewers, and on top of that, this being the most watched world championship fight of this century, this proves something. This proved that there is still a massive audience for boxing. But what you must do is you have to have the right fighters fighting each other, and you have to have the right promotion. When all these factors come together, there is an appeal for boxing. And that's why when I look at it, it is a foregone conclusion. Yes, football is the sport in America. Basketball is right behind it. Those things are true. But that does not mean that there's not still a massive marketplace for boxing to still thrive in the United States of America. It should be. But what we're witnessing right now is that a lot of these factors are not coming together to allow boxing to thrive in the United States of America. But there is a market. And so why I say this is this. If we are serious about making boxing great again in America, we need to get back to a place where the best guys are fighting each other, just as Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez did. We need to get back to a place where it's being promoted properly and available and accessible for everybody in the world to watch. Because when all of those factors are coming together, there is a massive marketplace. People want to see boxing, but guess what? If you don't know about it, you can't find the fights, and you don't know these fighters, what are you supposed to do? That's been a problem and has made massive issues in the United States of America for boxing. And I think we saw that it can still be fixed based upon what happened on Saturday. And that's why I say what went down in the ring on Saturday was so much bigger than just Canelo versus Bud Crawford. That fight was good. And I see a lot of people bashing it. No, stop. Just because you like Canelo Alvarez and he lost does not mean the fight sucked or was it rigged. It was a clean fight. Bud Crawford won it. Deal with it. But besides that, What we need to look at right now is this fight was huge for the sport of boxing, the health of boxing, and allowing it to flourish going forward. So once again, hats off to Canelo, Bud, and Turki Al-Sheikh for making this fight happen, because it showed that there is still a future in a market, if it's handled properly, in the United States of America for boxing. Other boxing news we're going to get into on today's show. Interim WBA bantamweight champion Nonito Donaire is slated to return to the ring in December in Japan. Opponents being considered are Diego Higa, which I thought he just retired. I guess maybe not. Jason Maloney and Emmanuel Rodriguez. All interesting fights right there. I would be intrigued to see any one of those. I'm a little bit surprised we see Higa still in the mix there. Obviously, as I said, he just retired. But obviously, it's a great opportunity for himself, so I'm not shocked to see his name there. So we could see Nonito Donaire returning to the ring very soon. On top of that, Frank Martin made a tweet. 10:25, I'm back. Let's put 2 and 2 together. 10:25, that's October 25th. Who's going to be fighting there? Yes, the PBC card, Fundora, will be going down in that fight against Keith Thurman. I expect to see him back on the undercard, which is good. I had a segment 2 weeks ago saying, where's Frank Martin at? Here he is. Hopefully he's back, and hopefully he can stay consistent and get back in that ring. Anthony Joshua is being targeted for a fight in Nigeria early next year, according to Ezekiel Adamu, who has told the ring he wants to host AJ in Africa after first staging Brandon Glanton versus Marcus Brown in Lagos on October 1st. I like this idea. When he gets back to the ring in 2026, as it appears to be the date, he will have been outside of the ring for 18 months. If you're Anthony Joshua, you can't go back into the heavyweight scene on 18 months layoff. So him going up there and hopefully just doing a tune-up fight, accomplishing something he's always dreamed of by fighting in Africa, that checks all his boxes. It makes perfect sense. It will sell great. It'll be a great atmosphere and experience for AJ. And then the second half of 2026, we can go see him hopefully do the Fury fight. So that's just a hypothetical right there. But I also I realized I skipped something going back to this. In regards to the boxing numbers, as I said, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul is number 1. Hypothetically, Katie Taylor Serrano number 2 at 74 million viewers is number 2. However, in that situation, that was obviously piggybacking before Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, just note. And then Canelo, Bud Crawford, number 3. Katie Taylor Serrano, 3. Peaked at 6 million viewers. That's number 4. It will be interesting to see this. What does Jake Paul Tank Davis peak at? I've got no idea. What I will say is this. As much as there is a market for boxing, true high-level, elite, world-level boxing, there is a bigger market still for entertainment. And it's obvious. Look at the WWE. We all know it's fake, and yet they still thrive. There is a market, and why would I say that? I think it's more entertaining. You're easily able to promote it. It's this mystical, hypothetical world you're going to go out there and promote, and Jake Paul brings that. He brings this little flair and interest. The Mike Tyson situation, obviously, they made it promoted as if Mike Tyson was going to come back from the dead and somehow fight 20 years past his prime and make a showing. Obviously, it didn't work out. But those entertainment type of styles, those storylines, I should say, those do help with numbers and viewership. And Jake Paul's the king of that. So it will be interesting. Obviously, it's not a good boxing fight. Obviously, it's not something that true boxing fans want to see, but I'm intrigued to see where that does. I do have a feeling that it could surpass Canelo Bud Crawford, which it is what it is. Hopefully, the undercard will be stacked, but that is something to keep an eye on, as that will be coming up now in a couple months. So that's what we've got. As I said, today was going to be a very short show. Just wanted to get through some boxing news today. I will be back live tomorrow. I should have a guest on that show. I'll have to wait to confirm it. Not sure if it came through yet, but no. So I will have to confirm that interview. If it does happen, I'll announce who it is in the morning. But I will see you guys hopefully by 11 a.m., so 12 hours from now, Mountain Standard Time tomorrow for another show. If not, if I don't have a guest, it might be a little bit later. So I'll keep you guys posted on that regard. I will see you guys back tomorrow. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of your guys' day. May God bless you guys all. I will see you guys back live on the show tomorrow. SchuZ is out. See you guys tomorrow. God bless you guys.